And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.
I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
We get together, have a few laughs.
We're going to have schools, universities, and colleges are going to say, you want to come to this college, buddy? You're going to get vaccinated. Lady, you're going to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Big corporations like Amazon and Facebook and all of those others are going to say, you want to work for us, you get vaccinated. And it's been proven that when you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit and they get vaccinated.
Well, how many of you lost your ideological bullshit?
How many of you can say ideological bullshit?
Ideological
bullshit.
Words are hard.
I was thinking that Pol Pot might have had the same philosophy.
Yeah?
Yeah, don't you think?
Starve them enough, torture them enough.
Yeah,
they get rid of, yeah.
Like drink blood from some skulls, get a photo op or whatever, and people will probably get the impression to not mess with you.
Interesting.
Fauci.
Well, this is the Iowa Talk, guys. Welcome. I'm your host, TP.
I'm E-Rock.
I'm your host, Theo.
We're coming in with some more Fauci lied and Beagles died.
From a shack in the middle of cornfield in Iowa.
In an undisclosed location.
That's right.
So
not that noisy. Sorry.
It's a beautiful evening. Beautiful summer evening.
That's right.
June. We're in PTSD Awareness Month. Oh, no, wait. They changed it. What is it now?
Well, last month was Mental Awareness Month. What is this month? I can't think of what this month is.
I heard it was Poop Dick Month, but...
No, I think it was something else. Oh, what was it that caused Satan to fall?
Pride?
Oh, yeah, Pride Month.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Pride comes before the fall.
That's right. Happy
If you
Pride
will.
Month.
Happy Pride Month.
Just weird coincidence. Now, we're bringing you a little bit of news about Fauci this evening, seeing as how this leaked audio just came out where he's talking about ideological bullshit. People dropping it. The reason it wasn't about the virus.
Right.
We're going to get you to drop your ideological bullshit.
You do what we tell you to do because
Or you can't work.
we're
Yeah.
can't go to school.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll shut
get
you
an
down
education.
socially.
Can't stand 6 feet from each other.
And you said today that there were discussions at the White House about the 6-foot rule. You don't recall if it was discussions about whether or not it should be 3 or should be 10 or should be 6?
I don't recall, Mitch, what the exact discussion was, but as I've said in response to multiple questions, what we had, the CDC was said that on the basis of their evaluation, which was based on the droplet approach, that 6 foot would be to go. And since there was no clinical trials going one way or the other, that's why it was accepted by the group.
You gotta be 6 feet apart, which is bullshit.
And yeah, he admitted it. There was no science behind that.
You couldn't be with a loved one when they were dying
Where's Marv when you need him?
in the hospital. Oh wait, you didn't need to be vaccinated for that. They just didn't do these things.
Where's Marv?
the
when you need him?
The Marvins or
Marv HIMARS.
Oh, that was
yesterday. with his killdozer. Yeah,
yeah. Happy Killdozer Day.
I guess.
Yesterday.
That was.
Cheers to Marv.
Yeah, but know what else you couldn't do? Couldn't go to funerals. Couldn't go to
right. You couldn't go to nursing homes.
Couldn't even go to a bar.
Couldn't go to holidays.
But COVID positive nursing home employees in New York could go.
And other parts of the country, yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Well, you could go to a protest and burn down Minneapolis.
That's right.
Or
there was
Atlanta.
Wasn't it, there was an AutoZone with a body in it afterwards they found.
I think so.
Yeah. There
was that up there in Minneapolis?
Up
or somewhere in Minnesota?
Upriver.
Maybe. Yeah, or Wisconsin.
That was all in the summer of love.
Yeah. It was the summer of love.
After King George got slayed.
And the year 2020 after George Floyd got a knee on him. I don't know. Sorry. Trying to do bad sublime.
You do it, dude. Get going.
Couldn't go skateboarding out of playgrounds either, but you could.
No, they filled
break windows out of police vehicles.
They filled the pools, the like skateboarding pools or whatnot, and over in California
with sand.
With sand, yeah.
What a waste of taxpaying dollars.
It turns out
and they had to clean it all up.
Yeah, then they had to pay somebody to clean it all out of there.
It turns out vitamin D is bad for your immune system, and it doesn't. You don't fight viruses when you get too much sun.
Oh, really?
No, that's not true. It's the opposite.
It's the exact opposite.
Which is why the government did.
They didn't want you going outside.
They want you going outside.
Oh, they put those 2x4s around basketball hoops and stuff in cities. You remember seeing those? There's like 2x4s with like leg bolts, and they just.
We need to start the Iowa Talk guys never forget campaign. Call it like the COVID never forget.
Oh,
not the
dude.
Twin Towers.
Just make a bunch of shirts with like pictures of stupid shit that happened at COVID
or real shit.
Yeah, the stupid,
like
the real shit.
NYPD police vans,
people on swimming in the ocean with masks on.
Yeah, that whole
all
year,
the dumb shit, dude.
For the most part,
was
just fucking wild,
crazy. It was bizarre. Yeah. So, but anyways, a little context behind that. So that was leaked audio, correct?
Yes, it was from an interview from the audiobook Fauci, which was released in October of 2020, during which he touted his efforts to make objectors to vaccination lose their
If it was leaked audio, then how was it on Audible?
Because it was leaked.
No, if it was on Audible.
Audiobook.
If it was an audiobook, then it couldn't
Somebody
be
leaked the information to whoever published.
Audiobook?
Who published the audiobook?
Well, where's the book at? Republican rep plays audio of Fauci pushing to make people's lives difficult. So it's not leaked audio. It's just audio from a book.
So just want me to read it?
Please, sorry.
So the audio was from an interview from the audiobook Fauci. And this was when he was testifying before the House Oversight Committee's Selective Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic during a hearing on Monday,
June 3rd, 2024.
So Republican Representative Rich McCormick of Georgia played the audio on Monday. And he asked Fauci if he believed all the objections to getting the COVID-19 vaccine were ideological bullshit, which Fauci disputed and claimed, quote, that's not what he was referring to. McCormick then mentioned testimony from former ESPN employee Allison Williams, who resigned after seeking exemption from COVID-19 vaccine mandate issued by Disney's ESPN parent company, and quote, you've affected people's ability to work, travel, be educated, to actually flourish in America, to self-determine as well as God's given rights, McCormick said. Shame on you, Dr. Fauci. You have become Dr. Fear. Americans do not hate science. I don't hate science. The American people hate having their freedoms taken from them. You inspired and created fear through mask mandates, school closures, vaccine mandates that have destroyed the American people's trust in our public health institutions. This fear you created will continue to have ripple effects over generations to come.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that's a bad statement or a wrong statement.
No, it's not. It's just where is it going to go at this point?
I just want to quote his quote from the audio interview. So this is Fauci, quote, once people feel empowered and protected legally, you are going to have schools, universities, and colleges are going to say, you want to come to this college, buddy? You're going to have to get vaccinated, lady. You're going to get vaccinated. So that's the context everybody said. But that's when he goes on and he says, big corporations like Amazon and Facebook and all those others are going to say, you want to work for us, get vaccinated.
Yeah.
And it's proven that when you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit and they get vaccinated.
So we also remember the benevolent lie in May of 2020, right? Which was, March of 2020, excuse me. Things happened so quickly there. We all learned so fast.
They need COVID amnesty.
Don't go get masks because it's not going to help. Or was it February that he said that, or January of that year, the beginning of 2020?
The healthcare workers needed them.
Yeah. Well, so the lie
cause a
afterwards,
shortage.
the cover and the lie afterwards was that, well, there was a mask shortage, so it's okay.
Well, China.
That he lied about masks, and then it was forced on absolutely everybody, everywhere you tried to go.
That's what narcissistic psychopaths do, is they justify their jacked up actions and lie and make, oh, it's okay, I can do this because I'm more benevolent than you are because and I have the authority.
Like Biden.
Yeah.
And the border. All of a sudden now he's cracking down.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking just wild.
Right.
You know,
He realized he fucked up.
Who's going to fall
Election's
for
coming.
this?
all they got to do is spit some bullshit. Somebody's going to fall for it. There's plenty of people to fall
When
for
we've
it.
continuously seen his freaking border patrol letting people in and doing all this other shit, cutting sea wire that National Guardsmen put up.
The reason that the narrative works, bro, or pushing the narrative works and not being objective about reality is because there are enough people to buy the fucking narrative, the complete fabricated narrative, that there are more people than we're willing to admit out there that they'll do it. It's your neighbor. It's your, we're at the point where it's the, I don't know, maybe it's the deacon at your church. Maybe it's the, well, I mean, fuck, the BTK guy in Kansas was the deacon at the church. So,
what are you saying?
What I'm saying is that these people will push anything. They will push a narrative. They will lie to make sure that they come out on top, or whatever system or hierarchy they are a part of comes out on top.
Yeah, you don't really get to that level without being a narcissistic psycho.
A narcissistic psycho. These people recruit them, these companies, and just whatever, what have you. God forbid, the government and military. The people that will do whatever the hell you tell them to do because you fill their head full of so much bullshit.
Well, and no matter
how powerful they are,
no matter the cost or whatnot. But
I thought it was Trump's fault.
Yeah, it is. He's one too.
Well, it's all Trump's fault.
But was Trump's fault the Beagles that Fauci?
Them Beagles?
Beagles. Oh, that Marjorie Taylor Greene or whatever.
Yeah. Majority.
That Georgia lady.
Majority Taylor Greene.
Shout out to all our listeners down in Georgia.
Yeah.
You guys kick ass.
Well, she apparently gave a bizarre animal testing rant against Fauci.
But this, as director of the NIH, you did sign off on these so-called scientific experiments. And as a dog lover, I want to tell you this is disgusting and evil, what you signed off on, and these experiments that happened to beagles paid for by the American taxpayer. And I want you to know Americans don't pay their taxes for animals to be tortured like this. So the type of science that you are representing, Mr. Fauci, is abhorrent, and it needs to stop. Mr. Fauci, you also represent the type of science where you confess that you made up the COVID rules, including
I didn't hear what you
6
said.
feet social distancing and masking of children.
I never said I made anything up.
You admitted that you made it up. You made it up as you went.
I made it up. I made it up.
So are you saying this is fake news, Mr. Fauci?
I didn't say I made anything up.
What did you say?
I said that it is not based in science and it just appeared.
I mean, I don't blame her. That is pretty sick. That's like some serial killer shit to torture infant animals.
Yeah. You've seen some pretty bad shit where you grew up as far as fucking animals are concerned.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the same type of nasty shit happens to humans, yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I guess is my concern.
But this here's America. That shit's supposed to happen over. Isn't that why he has
I'm
shit
sure
in China?
They
It said
funded
the
the
studies
lab.
include the past experiments that were similar to the sand flea study in Tunisia.
Tunisia, yeah.
Where's that at?
They probably
So it wasn't
it's
in
in
America.
Africa, Northern Africa.
But the fact that it's being funded, I mean, like the
Dude, we've
Indiana
talked about-
serial killer Herb Baum, what was it, Baumeister, Bauman?
The Indian serial killer?
Indiana.
Oh, Indiana.
In the
Oh,
80s.
Herb Baumeister?
Yeah, Herb Baumeister.
You're talking about the Save-A-Lot guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why the hell did you bring that guy up? And I've
'Cause he
been
was
trying
on
to remember his name for a while now because I watched the show
Oh,
on the
really?
Save-A-Lot guy that was hiding dudes out back.
Yeah, but anyway, he was on the news. He called the news because he watched the road painting crew spray over the face of a dead raccoon, and then he was on the news saying, that poor defenseless raccoon deserved better than that.
This was just, the painter should have had a chalk line drawn around his career by state officials. There was no excuse for that. I mean, the poor thing deserved a better fate than that.
It's like, you murdered dudes and threw their body parts out in the fucking woods so that animals would eat them.
Well, this is from an MSN article where it says, while the federal government does have a large role in funding and carrying out animal studies, it's not particular to one agency or one individual.
So it's not the depravity of the animal studies. It's, we just don't know who funds it.
But the NIH spends an estimated $14.5 billion of taxpayer dollars on research that involves animal experimentation annually, according to the Animal Legal Defense Fund.
But we can tell you this much money is spent here. No more comment.
So how much?
Keep going.
Hold on, did it say in the price of that what the... how much?
The price of that? Do they say in the price of that?
The price of that experiment, how much U.S. taxpaying dollars was used for that?
Not that particular one. This is just saying an overall estimate.
I bet it didn't cost much.
Estimated what?
$14.5 billion so fucking crazy. On animal experimentation.
That's so crazy.
Animal experimentation is not political or partisan, and all taxpayers should know that they are footing the bill for scientific research they may find immoral and often fails to achieve its intended results, said the Huffington Post statement.
Wow.
No wonder the mob isn't so bad, right? Lucky Luciano wasn't so bad.
At least they let you know who they were.
Yeah.
And where they stood.
Yeah. No shit. Literally. They didn't hide behind the power of the state. Well, there are a lot of theories on that. Perhaps they did.
Some did.
Right. Well, Lucky Luciano. He made deals with them.
Well, anyway.
But these people are incredibly fucking evil.
That's insane. But here, hey, so we're spending you said 43 billion or 4.3?
14.5 billion.
14.5 billion.
That's money laundering.
Hold on. So you said $14.5 billion was spent on that shit, dude.
Involves animals.
That's insane.
Annually, according to the animal.
They must just be printing this stuff off, man.
Yeah.
So
right.
that's just an utter waste of money that could have been sent to the U.S. taxpayers and put it in infrastructure. We could have sent
that to Ukraine or
no, dude. Yeah,
Israel.
We could have. Yeah, bullshit.
Something important like that.
You know what? Did you see? I got this Business Insider article here by Matthew Fox, June 4th, 2024. Hire, or did you want to stay on? Did you want to finish?
No, just there was an Animal Welfare Act of 1966. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, given how much humanity has been shown by governments around the world since 1966, I'm sure that or how about treaties with human beings since the 19th century in the United States, or the beginning of the United States at least. Yeah, I'm sure they really care about the Animal Rights Act of 1966.
They might.
Was that why they do it in Tunisia?
Tunisia?
Wherever that's at.
North Africa.
The government does, dude. There was road runners on this one range that we were shooting at, and we were told, do not shoot them.
Is that why they're doing stuff in Wuhan?
Wuhan? Well, they offshore it, and then it's only sending money at some point, right? You're not doing the research on your soil. Because it was just getting too hot. We've already talked about that too, though, right? TP, you remember that? That it's just getting too hot. So they offshored it because the NIH was funding all of that shit. EcoHealth Alliance, Bill Gates, they were funding all that. So,
yeah, well, I don't know who's going to be funding them much longer, because going to this Business Insider article that I found here by Matthew Fox, June 4th, 2024. Higher interest rates have created 63, quote, problem banks, unquote, and $517 billion in unrealized losses, FDIC says.
It was this time and a little earlier last year that we were reporting the same thing about Silicon Valley and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Around the same time.
Around the same time. It's been about a year.
And
it says that in this
now
article.
it's like, 63. Well, the weather's warmer.
More than a year after the downfall of the Silicon Valley Bank, higher interest rates are still putting pressure on the U.S. banking system. According to the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or the FDIC, first quarter report, the U.S. banking system is sitting on a collective $517 billion in unrealized losses and has 63 quote-unquote problem banks.
Wow.
Those losses have been sparked primarily by a surge in interest rates over the past 2 years, which have driven down price of fixed income securities held by banks. Unrealized losses held by banks increased by $39 billion in the first quarter relative to the fourth quarter of 2023. Higher unrealized losses on residential mortgage-backed securities resulting from higher mortgage rates in the first quarter drove the overall increase, the FDIC said.
Hey,
Dick.
The FDIC said, remember what happened in 2008? Where banks were giving loans out to people that had no business getting loans? And we've already talked
fucking
about
doing it again, dude.
Yeah, we've already talked about on the show again out in California, where Silicon Valley Bank shit. They're Grissom's
TP means Gavin Newsom.
Having it to where illegal immigrants coming across the border can get housing loans, first-time home buyer loans. No credit.
What's the interest rate?
Yeah, it's absolutely absurd.
Who cares what the interest rate is?
It's just to the point.
I mean,
what can
they're
you do?
not going to be able to fucking pay it. Period.
What can you do besides mock this absurdity at this point or shut your mouth?
So when will Joe Biden bail them out?
Oh, probably never.
Fucking student loans. Now we got mortgage loans.
Yeah. There's a mayor.
Where's it going to end?
He won't bail out the mortgage people. He'll bail out
banks?
the who owns the mortgages.
Right.
People.
Yeah.
It's not like the help the people.
The common man's going to be holding the bag here in the end, like they always do.
Right, but the common man has been asleep, and this is where we're at.
But they've been intentionally sleeping masks put on them. And unfortunately, they're so asleep that when confronted with the reality of being awake, they reject it in the most violent of ways. But speaking of rejections, this is Yahoo News, another Business Insider, though, that we're allowed to read through Yahoo News. Thanks for reading that other one, E-Rock. Coming in clutch. Nearly 1,300 stores are closing across the U.S. in 2024, and here's the list.
Retail's plunging, huh?
There was a bunch. Actually, E-Rock, can you look this up real quick while I start this article? How many chain retail stores closed in 2023?
Did the Red Lobster ever air?
Red Lobster?
The
We
one...
were talking about Red Lobster and the cheddar biscuits.
This article is by Dominique Reuter and Alex Bitter, Friday, April 26th, 2024. Nearly 1,000 Family Dollar General locations are set to close in the coming years, starting with 600 in the first half of 2024. At least 9 retail brands have said they're closing U.S. stores in 2024, totaling some 1,280 locations. Family Dollar is the largest chain on the list, planning to close at least 600 stores this year alone. So 1,000 total, but 600 in the first half, it said in the beginning of this. Other companies such as Walmart and TJX are closing a few stores while opening many more. We did talk about like the Walmart was closing and bringing a bunch of people that were remote back. They're laying a bunch of people off, bringing remote employees back into a main hub, paying for some of them to move to one of the main hubs.
Getting serious.
But
and Red Lobster.
And Red Lobster
Red
was on
Lobster.
the fritz. And hey, we talked about
unlimited shrimp.
as long as Sam's Club and Costco still sells the Cheddar Bay biscuits, I don't give a shit what happens in the store.
Hot dogs?
Well, I just think it's great.
The Cheddar Bay biscuit.
I just think it's great that it didn't have anything to do with management decisions or anything like that or failures or anything like that. It was the endless shrimp. That's what
brought lobster down.
Yeah, that's what
Red
brought the
down.
lobster down.
Yeah, I doubt that. Kind of like Godfather Pizza, right? Product is awesome. Management sucked. Anyways, A Business Insider tally of disclosures from 9 retail chain brands found as many as 1,290 stores have closed or are set to close across the U.S. in 2024. The number is down considerably from prior years, including last year, when the collapse of Bed, Bath, and Beyond contributed to a total of more than 2,800 locations shuttering. Well, it looks like I found that number. Was that the one that you came to, too, E-Rock? No, we couldn't find it? All right. Well, this article covered it for us.
Dollar General is doing fine. It seems like, at least where we're at.
But we're small town nowhere.
Yeah, but we are small town nowhere, and that's where they have invested.
Which is smart on their part.
You think so?
Yeah, because then we don't have to go all the way into town for...
Yeah, and you can just get
for toothpaste and...
canned goods and shit, and deodorant, and...
even...
some yoga pants.
Toiletries,
some
right?
Really cheap yoga pants.
Heck, they even sell some decent socks there at the old Dollar General. I bought them for work.
Do they?
Oh, yeah. I bought some socks for work one time when I was on the road, got extended and stuff, and I needed clothes, right?
Yeah.
Good socks.
Got you some socks.
Still have them. They're still working hard for me.
At the Dollar General?
At the Dollar General. They're like $8 for like a 6-pack.
No
affiliation.
None at all. But Family Dollar seems to have some problems right now.
Well, I think they just put their... You ever see where the Family Dollars are at? Terrible locations.
No, I don't. Actually, I don't actually see a lot of Family Dollars.
I travel a lot. I've been around the country quite a bit, and usually where
I've seen Family Dollars.
Usually where the Family Dollars are at, they're in kind of like rundown shit areas of town that look like they, some of them have bars on the windows and stuff.
CP, what if we have listeners from those parts of town, man?
Then get out of that area. If you know how shitty it is, you shouldn't be living there.
You can do better for yourself?
Absolutely.
So the Outback Steakhouses, sorry, Drew Missing. You're listening. Can't get those blooming onions. Over 40 locations.
Yeah.
That was last month.
Last month.
We can't even get it here.
Ours got shut down because of the health department, because somebody decided to piss on a lady's steak because she asked them to cook it a little longer.
Oh, crikey, you want the piss-flavored steak?
They did a straight-up waiting. You remember that movie? Yeah, they were pulling some stuff like that. And, well, it turns out she got sick. And
I don't think you get sick from piss steak.
Well, she did.
She's lying.
Okay, well, they linked this.
Okay, pull up the article.
That's not what we're talking about. No, then people know where we're at. An analyst at UBS think the total number of U.S. retail closures could reach 45,000 over the next 5 years, led largely by small stores going out of business thanks to COVID measures and lockdowns, right?
Another scapegoat.
Yeah, even as larger firms such as Walmart, Costco, Target, and Home Depot continue to expand. Because they had record years during COVID.
It's almost like they're just trying to project their resume into the media sphere for everybody to see.
Right.
Because they know they're going fucking under and they need somebody to hire them. So
maybe these were the companies that Fauci was talking about that you better get your employees to comply. Maybe Family Dollar didn't follow along. I'm just saying, though, that's interesting, right? Though, hey?
Yeah, that is an interesting... You have to try to think of it from whatever the hell angle you can.
Because I do know some mom and pop shops that, they chose not to vaccinate or whatever. And also, for some reason, were ineligible for those PPP loans or whatever the heck they were. That turns out now there's a bunch of people that committed fraud against the government, filed for multiple PPP loans.
Yeah. Surprise.
People that didn't need it, that had millions of dollars in their company bank accounts. But
sounds like some easy money.
Yeah, that's what happened. It's the end of the world. That's what the CNN's saying, so we might as well just do it.
It's probably what they did.
That might have been what they thought. Like, you remember that one guy, he thought the world was going to end in 2012. They were talking about it on...
2012?
Yeah, when the Mayan calendar was ending. A lot of people thought 2012 was going to be the end of the world.
You said 2012.
I'm sorry, 2012. But this guy, they talked about it on a radio station. I think Bob and Tom or whatever, that nationwide one. One of those nationwide ones I was listening to at work. This guy thought the world was going to end, so He went and got a bunch of credit cards.
Fucking leaving Las Vegas.
Sold all of his stuff, yeah. Went and did some like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas
Yeah.
stuff. Went to all these whorehouses and ended up ODing. But he thought the world was going to end.
Probably had a good time, though.
I guess.
I don't know. It doesn't sound good to me.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot
I'd like
of...
to cook dinner and go to bed.
I like to live.
Have some...
Look at some news.
I don't and haven't ever done and cannot condone hard drugs at all.
Oh.
Right? Stuff that could kill you
Sure.
from doing too much, you should probably stay away from.
Yeah. For sure.
Hey,
Just saying.
Hunter Biden survived.
Well, he must have known his
And he
limit.
could still buy a gun.
Probably has a good doctor.
Yeah. It still sells art pieces, too. So, some companies, including Express and Foxtrot, are in dire financial straits. Others, such as Walmart and TJX, have plans to expand, buy more stores, then they close. So they had plans to open more locations, and they're like, never mind, we're going to shut some down. Still, others like Foot Locker and Macy's are shifting their strategies as shopping patterns change. More people are buying offline. They have more opportunities due to the whole COVID shit and contactless drop. There's still people that are worried about that stuff, dude.
You can find exactly what you want and try it on and send it back if it doesn't fit. And
you don't have to have any contact with any individuals
Right.
whatsoever.
the network's built.
Yeah. So, yeah, the economy is doing great here in the United States. So, I think the
But not
solution here, and I believe E-Rock had said it before, we should probably just send more money and weapons to Ukraine. Is I'm guessing that
in Israel.
This is how this is going to solve America's financial problems in Israel.
We need
Yeah.
the
It's a
Jews
great
need more
idea.
money.
Yep. Since they're having their happy Jerusalem day today. Or was that yesterday? Where they went through those Palestinian occupied parts of Jerusalem and wrecked all their shit and beat up journalists and stuff. You know?
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Those kids.
I caught video of some settlers in the West Bank like beating up a
Palestinian
like a
or
Palestinian journalist guy.
Yeah. They're celebrating the day they took Jerusalem in the 6-Day War.
Very well.
So
It's like a new religious holiday
yeah.
for Israel. Good for them.
You know who else is celebrating right now? Some stuff. Vladimir.
Yeah.
No, not Russia. Vladimir Zelensky.
Oh, Zelensky is, yeah,
You want to know why?
celebrating.
Because he finally got the green light to use all these advanced weapons that Biden sent him.
That's right.
Happy days all around. They're going to finally win the war and turn the tide.
Apparently, even on the interior of Russian territory. Right?
Yeah. So, like I said, Vladimir is really happy. Ukraine got to fire some new weapons, and this is the Hill article, thehill.com. Ukraine strikes into Russia with U.S. weapons for first time, officials say. By Brad Dress, January 5th, 24. Ukraine has struck inside of Russia with U.S. weapons for the first time since permission was granted by the Biden administration last week, according to a Ukrainian official. Ukrainian parliament member Yehor Cherniev confirmed that U.S.-made high-mobility artillery rocket systems,
Also known as HIMARS.
have hit Russian logistics and artillery locations inside of Russia near Ukraine's northeast region of Kharkiv, where Moscow is conducting an offense. Yeah, where I also read, and I don't know if this article will touch on it, that apparently the Ukrainians pushed some Russians and captured like 60 of them in Kharkiv. Well, according to Cherniv, quote, we have already achieved some success and forced the Russians to stop shelling the city. The deputy chairman of Committee on National Security, Defense, and Intelligence in Ukraine's parliament said in a text message, also, thanks to the HIMARS strike, we have managed to reduce the offensive potential of Russian troops in the area.
But that's on Russian soil, right?
Correct.
So, yeah, thank you for the HIMARS for killing the Russian troops on Russian soil, except no, it doesn't work that way. That now Russian troops have been killed on Russian soil. So,
with U.S. weapons.
With U.S. weapons. So this is a whole different ball game now.
It changes the dynamic a little bit, doesn't it?
A little bit is, yeah. We're in store for some times, folks.
Well, unconfirmed videos shared on Russian Telegram sites appear to show the aftermath of a HIMARS strike that caused an explosion in the Volgograd region of Russia, which borders Kharkiv. The New York Times first reported the U.S. weapons were used in Russia. And the Biden administration last week announced a change in policy to allow Ukraine to strike inside of Russia from the region of Kharkiv.
Yeah, so this is an entirely different ball game at this point, like I just already said.
And the Russian government has already warned the Biden administration that if U.S. weapons were used, that it could be a big mistake. But before we get to that, about the warning, there's this top U.S. general, Lavrov, comments on nuclear war.
Russia has repeatedly warned Ukraine's Western allies that allowing strikes inside Russia would carry grave consequences. Quote, "We would like to warn the U.S. officials against miscalculations that may have fatal consequences."
Yeah, they also issued a warning to France because France was talking about sending people, trainers, military trainers, to Ukraine, and they warned them if there's any French military on the ground, regardless of their role, there will be deadly consequences. They will be deemed enemy targets, combatants.
In this New York Times article, a Ukrainian military analyst, it's June, so we gotta say analyst, Mr. Sumas, all Russian troops at the border region must be destroyed. Do not let them break through the border. There are official positions of Ukraine in the United States. The rest of it is the fog of war.
The fog of war. You think it was the fog of war that made that Iranian president's helicopter crash?
Yeah, that's a good one.
So, Russia, they said that the U.S. is making a fatal mistake basically by allowing the HIMARS, their U.S. weapons, to be used.
I think they've been saying that for a while.
So we're getting Gulf of Tonkin in there.
That's
maybe, yeah. But before we discuss that, there's a Russian military expert that was discussing destroying Poland in 10 minutes via nuclear annihilation.
Yeah, I originally watched a video on Redacted. I don't know if you guys
channel.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys caught this one or not.
I did not see it.
But they were talking about they had this video clip of this Russian diplomat or Russian defense expert that was talking about how quickly this can escalate, how quickly Russia can escalate this situation, how capable they are to do so. And he put it completely into perspective, which was, essentially there are how many big cities are there in Poland? And he put the figure at not more than 20.
Well, so, what are they considering big cities?
He didn't give a figure whatsoever.
The population size?
No.
Okay.
Big city, in a large city.
Urban.
Just more than 500,000.
So the first place that my mind went was we're from Iowa.
Yeah.
And our entire concept of a big city is probably completely skewed from everybody else's.
Yeah, that's I'm
so we think if there's 100, if there's 100,000 in a town, that's a pretty big town.
That's a city.
Top 20.
That's a city to me.
5 million, 3 million, 1 million,
and
1 million.
Poland.
1
okay,
million,
so this millions of people.
1,777,000.
Okay,
6.
So quite a few people.
We can't get this guy's name. Oh, Konstantin Sivkov. He plainly described the capabilities, or at least what they think are their capabilities, of the Russian military if this was to pop off and Europe, France, NATO, the United States want to actually get involved. And what the Russians are capable of is they have the Iskander missile, of course, which is a hypersonic missile.
Yeah.
And if they were to aim 2 of those at each one of those 20 cities, he's saying you're talking 30 to 40 missiles at most. That's just a salvo from one of their units. It's not even a lot of missiles. It's just a handful.
Right.
And in that handful of missiles, they have the capability to not only wipe out the Polish people, but like the language and most of
the culture.
No
more Polish sausages.
This is the level at what we're talking right now.
Like dodo bird.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to go to either
Yes.
Hillshire Farm or your local butcher to get Polish sausage from now on.
It'll be Americans or whatever other not estuary, but enclave Polish folks have maintained their culture and moved on elsewhere. You know what I mean? So Colonel McGregor was on that redacted video that I had watched, and he had mentioned sort of in like not a lot of terms that the U.S. and Western European lives are in grave danger at this point, with France committing troops, with essentially NATO committing troops, and obviously U.S. weapons hitting Russia. So we are sliding into this collision with Russia, he went on to say, and it could escalate nuclear. But that could be very quick. That could happen very quickly.
If nuclear weapons are real.
Yeah, some people have that theory. I think our buddy from a lot of people say up north, but it's really just like out east for us. Our buddy from the greater Toronto area there. McGregor went on to say that in order to maintain power, Washington is willing to push a war that they believe they can control with Russia.
Can they really?
I don't think that we've said it to such an extent that they can control it. I don't think that anybody here believes that Washington can control that war. Right?
No.
TP, didn't you have some statistics on war-ready countries?
I did, yeah. I also had a couple articles here I want to get to before that because they kind of tie in there about...
Okay.
Biden says the Ukrainians are decimating the Russian military.
Okay, that's a complete lie.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
But we'll...
Yeah.
Here, let me just finish. So... Another thing that McGregor said is that F-15s would be an indicator of Russians getting very serious.
Yeah.
Because the F-15, apparently uniquely, I'm assuming, is nuclear capable. So if they detect any F-15 signatures, apparently they are, from a tactical perspective, they might as well just assume that there are nukes headed their way. So why wouldn't they use nukes? At this point, there's no preemptive strike on the Russian part. I'm not coming to their defense. But there's not... It's their war, like, on their turf, right?
Yeah.
Not ours. But at that point, they might strike a bunch of air bases with F-15s, and you have to think that that's not only... Poland or Ukraine, if they were to get F-15s, that's NATO nations. A bunch of them have F-15s, I'm sure. We don't have figures on that. But the F-15 has been around since the 70s, and NATO's been around since 40s, 50s.
Or 40s, yeah.
So there are F-15s in Europe that European powers have.
Well, let's hope the aliens save us.
That
Project Bluebeam.
No, they'll go to the nuclear silo sites.
Shut them down.
Yeah. McGregor went on to say that could range from Finland to Romania. So there must be, that's NATO now.
Yeah.
Since those Scandinavian countries are in NATO. So that they have them. They have F-15s if we're listening to McGregor. So we're kind of finding ourselves at this point where Russia might not be willing to just kind of fuck around and find out. They're willing to start really pushing.
They've been fucking around for 2 years.
They've been fucked around with a lot too. Right? Yeah. So, same thing. They have been effing around for 2 years.
Yeah.
They haven't just full scale gone on to try to take Ukraine. Otherwise, folks, it would have been done.
I think this would have been way over if that's all they wanted to do.
It would have been a matter of months.
Yeah.
So,
not as fast as the recon Marines toppling, Iraqi military, but it would have happened pretty quick.
Like Biden's cognitive decline.
We have absolutely no
It's pretty
idea of
quick.
knowing how quick that was.
Yeah. Well, we kind of witnessed it on live TV for a few
we
years.
can't hear the
There was
audio transcripts.
There was 8 years of him doing his job as vice president, where President
terrible.
Obama apparently figured that he would say, "Don't underestimate Joe Biden's ability to f something up."
That's him talking about his vice president.
Right.
Not when they were like senators together, right?
Yeah. McGregor actually claims that a U.S. Army general was killed in a Russian airstrike. That
Really?
NATO officers have been killed.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
In a Polish border town. So this keeps escalating.
Speaking of escalation, I guess, and Biden's mental decline, this is an Axios article. Ukraine, quote, has freaking decimated, unquote, Russia's military, Biden says. June 4th, 2024, by Jacob Knudsen from Axios. Says Russia's military has been freaking decimated throughout Moscow's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, President Biden said in a wide-ranging interview with Time magazine published on Tuesday, which would have been June 4th, 2024. Why it matters. Biden's comments on Russia's invasion come after he and other leaders recently gave Ukraine permission to strike Russian military targets on Russian territory using advanced Western weapons, which just happened, like we just said. Western leaders previously refused such strikes over fears that they could escalate the invasion. They were worried about not allowing this U.S. technology to be used because it would really upset Russia, right? And like Iraq pointed out in that article, they were warned repeatedly to not do that. So the context, with the invasion in its third year, Russia has so far incurred over 300,000 casualties, including a conservative estimate of at least 50,000 deaths and hundreds of billions of dollars in direct costs.
Well, there are some estimates that say that there are 500,000 dead Ukrainians. We've had SL, Jonathan, came on a show, said those are the figures that he is seeing, as much as 500,000 people dead, Ukrainians. By the way, that I'm not a math expert, but that sounds like a tenfold, perhaps, increase to me. So, significant.
Well, Biden, he also accused Russia of invading Russia twice. While attempting to discuss the war in Ukraine, Biden referred to Russian President Putin's decision to send military forces into Russia and into Moscow.
Well, I mean, Putin has actually sent troops into Russia twice, right? At least twice. Georgia, South Ossetia, or whatever, South Ossetia.
Oh, yeah.
Chechnya.
Going back to what the numbers that you brought up, according to Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said earlier this year that at least 31,000 Ukrainian troops have been killed since the start of the invasion, which I said that's being disputed by a lot of other news sources.
Well, that is about as credible as the bullshit that was just read that Joe Biden said.
Right.
That you read.
Wow.
What a complete bullshit that they're not necessarily that Joe Biden said it, but that the Russian military has been decimated. That's an absolutely false statement.
Oh, 100%.
Lying bullshit.
Especially since this is a antiwar.com article. back from April 14th, 2024 by Dave DeCamp, U.S. General says Russia's military is bigger than before Ukrainian invasion.
We've said this multiple times.
If they're being decimated, how are they bigger? And this isn't by a couple percentage, mind you. This is a top U.S. general told Congress last week that Russia's military is 15% bigger today than it was before the February 2022 invasion of Ukraine.
So,
an acknowledgement that the goal of, quote, weakening, unquote, Russia has failed.
Recruiting efforts in Russia are not even remotely the same as they are in the United States. They are emboldened to join the military, to fight, they're not having recruiting problems.
And then when they get done with their service in the Russian military, they go join groups like the Wagner Group.
Make a bunch of money.
And make a ton of money for doing the same shit they did before, just way cooler. Because you don't have to...
Might go to Niger.
You don't have to... Well, I wouldn't say way cooler, just way more relaxed. You don't have to, like, stay in a formation, do uniform inspections and
just
stuff.
Just a professional.
You're just a professional killer.
And you're staying in Niger on a little excursion.
You can rape women and do all this crazy, disgusting, horrific shit as well as kill people. Right?
I was just going to say, you could get out and hunt a water buffalo. Something like that. Something Mick Dundee would do.
They go into New Zealand or Australia.
South Africa.
South Africa. There you go. Hunt some baboons.
Which, actually, that's another country that their government has aligned with Russia.
Yes, we spoke about that before. I think earlier this year about that. But, yeah, this is a quote from that general. Christopher Cavoli. Quote, the army is actually now larger by 15% than it was when it invaded Ukraine, said General, unquote, said General Christopher Cavoli, the head of U.S. European Command, told a Senate Armed Service Committee hearing. Cavoli said that over the past year, Russia has increased its frontline troop strength from 360,000 to 470,000, which he said was due to Russia raising the maximum age of conscription from 27 to 30.
It's a lot of fighting men.
Quote, in sum, Russia is on track to command the largest military in the continent, he said. Regardless of the outcome of the war in Ukraine, Russia will be larger, more lethal, and angrier with the West than when it invaded, unquote. Why is that? This is April, so he must have already known they're going to give the green light for the HIMARS and shit pretty soon, right? Oh, yeah, they're going to be way angrier with us here.
I would imagine.
In a couple weeks.
Yeah.
He must have known that.
And
why else would you make that comment?
In a position to actually start making some moves, because this controlled operation that they have been doing in Ukraine, it has been very slow and it has been very controlled. They've controlled the tempo the whole damn time.
The old meat grinder.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So I don't think they have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
They've been doing just fine. Everything that says otherwise is, completely false. I think it's verifiable and demonstrable at this point.
Well, going to these real quick, we'll come back to this article because it's got a really good point at the end. But there's this website called worldpopulationreview.com, and you can go there and you can find the population of the world's militaries. And as it sits now, Russia's military, active military, the numbers that are known, 1,154,000.
It's a good sized army.
They're paramilitary, which are a lot of the ones on the front lines, or all of them on the front lines, I should say. They're not providing support in the rear. These are the
fighting men,
the Wagner Group type guys, right? 554,000.
That's
500,000 men.
An incredible fighting force.
Yeah. It's military size by country 2024, like I said. And then the military reserve is estimated around 2 million. It's quite a bit, considering the U.S., our active military is 1,328,000, And we have, which the U.S. doesn't count on this, their paramilitary, all their Blackwater groups,
contractors.
But military reserve is 745,950. So about $750,000, a little over, or a little under. I mean.
So this is why we had our last episode on conscription.
Yeah, but here's the other thing: Ukraine.
Yes.
Okay. Ukraine's active military, 209,000.
This is just an equation at this point.
Paramilitary, 102,000. And then allegedly military reserve, which they might be counting in allied NATO countries in this military reserve that who knows may or may not have been talked about. But it's about 900,000 military reserve. What's the population of Ukraine? Are they just like, oh, every last citizen in this country is military reserve?
Population's about 20 million right now.
In Ukraine?
That's what they're saying, 2024.
Okay. That's a lot of people.
Decline since...
2022?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before 2000, frankly. Well,
people were wearing more condoms.
Probably decided to move somewhere better.
That's it too. Mail order brides. So, Deputy Secretary of State Kurt Campbell recently made similar comments, saying the U.S. had, quote, assessed over the course of the last couple of months that Russia has almost completely reconstituted militarily. Back in April 2022, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin declared one goal of the proxy war was to, quote, weaken Russia, unquote. More recently, hawks in Congress have been claiming that the damage being done to the Russian military is a good enough reason to continue fueling the conflict.
Lindsey Graham. Yeah.
And besides bolstering its military, Russia has also increased its industrial capabilities, and it's producing nearly 3 times as many artillery shells than the U.S. and Europe combined.
We've actually heard figures higher than that, more than double that. Heard 7-1.
And this is demonstrating that time is on Moscow's side in the conflict. We said,
absolutely.
Theo said it. They've been setting the tempo the entire time. So,
well, that was the original intent, was to it sounds run and gun to Kiev, make a deal. I mean, they were leaving Ukrainian forces behind at one point. They're just trucking to Kiev
just to show
pressure a deal.
Hey, this is what we're capable of.
U.S. and NATO stepped in and prevented that. So no deal. Okay.
And even when Zelensky had talks about making a deal, they're like, no. You should join NATO.
Right.
We'll keep you protected, and we'll allow you to bomb and murder your political adversaries with complete immunity.
And we will keep you supplied with South American white powder as well.
Yeah. We got all these things on the table for you. No big deal. Just sign on the dotted line.
A lot of reports of houses in Monaco and Rolls Royces and all sorts of luxury
shopping
items.
Sprees.
Yes,
being
spent by
I think
Ukrainian officials.
I think Kiev has the largest population of Rolls-Royce vehicle owners in the world now.
Well, I wonder where the money came from.
Yeah,
out of nowhere.
Mystery. Science Theater 3000.
So, yeah, I think that right now it's imperative to keep your eye out for a false flag.
Yeah.
To keep your eye out for. I probably should have led that a little smoother, but keep your eye out for Washington to do something
the boogeyman.
drastic.
Yeah.
And blame it on somebody else. Kind of like they've maybe have already done before, such as the Nord Stream pipeline, that Russia did not
blow up their own pipeline. absolutely insane.
That didn't happen.
To believe that.
You're making too much money.
How about this? How about this lie that they told? Saddam has weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
For our generation, right? And how about our parents' generation? A U.S. Navy ship was attacked in the Gulf of Tonkin in Vietnam.
Russia has no imperative to start a major conflict or a war right now. They are not the ones that have any of the incentive or the motive to do so.
Absolutely. We've already talked about their economy is doing great.
Fine. They don't need a war to do it.
They currency to gold.
Yeah.
The sanctions that the U.S. imposed on them didn't skip a beat. They just made other deals with other countries, and now they're opening one of the biggest pipelines between Russia and China ever.
That's another thing that we didn't talk about is that essentially Russia and China are tied at the hip right now. Russia used to have a lot bigger China problem than they did 2 years ago, and when NATO and the United States started all this bullshit. Well, 2 years ago, what the hell are we talking about?
But they got to figure it out. And, U.S. industry has been pulling more and more of their industry out of China and sending it to Mexico and Brazil and other countries and stuff. So there's a lot of pot stirring going on.
Absolutely.
I should say. You know, I think that's probably the best way to say it. And yeah, there's absolutely going to be a false flag or a boogeyman of sorts, Pearl Harbor, 9/11, some type of event. Hopefully it doesn't involve a bunch of Americans dying, but it might. It very well could. They've done it before.
Anybody dying for that matter, yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that's where,
Americans would really sell the story at this point, though.
Right, and they could. They've been doing it for a long time. They know how to take care of this.
Of course, they could fake it, too.
They own the media companies. We are the alternative media at this point, right?
Owns the media company?
It's a good question.
Operation Mockingbird and maybe some other ones. Transport. Throw transport down the well. Yeah.
That's who it is.
Mossad.
It's transport. We'll just say,
shouldn't have said
from
that.
now on, we're going to refer to them as transport. Is that okay with you guys? And you know what, though, dude? Like, we're in a rough patch in history. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. Hard times create strong men. We are in the age of weak men have created hard times for us. And the hard times are going to get harder only.
They're here.
But like we've talked about on our show, we want to add value to their lives. There's ways around it. There's, grow your own vegetables, grow your own spices, find a local farmer to purchase meat and eggs and stuff from. I mean, they're out there, folks.
Try to find ways to do it outside of cash, too. I mean, even barter. Who knows?
Well,
it's going to get to crazy situation. I mean, maybe like Ukraine has even experienced over the past 100 years.
Yeah. Go YouTube. Don't tell mom I'm going to Bakhmut.
Bakhmut?
It's a beautiful song, but it's terrible. And it's literally, there's explosions going off in the background. They show, there's a couple Russian mercenaries, and they show the devastation of Bakhmut, where they're singing this song, and it's eerie.
It was like on the Russian side, kind of.
Yeah, because there's a famous song goes back to the time that the Russians were in Afghanistan, and it was "Don't tell mom I'm going to Afghan."
Yeah,
right. And so
never heard that, but
because it's Russian, right? Yeah, most Americans probably never heard of it. I didn't hear of it until I started looking into this and research and stuff, and just watching, Live Leak and Telegram and finding shit. So start off as when the Russians don't tell mom I'm going to Afghan, and then Chechnya after that. Somebody took it and made like a cover of it for Chechnya, and then now their next major conflict, Ukraine, Bakhmut, and it went viral. Just not only just because the song, the cover the guy did of it, but the environment he's in.
Kind of like E-fucked with the Harlem struggle.
Oh my gosh, dude!
Yeah, I remember that video.
No,
Back in the internet, when the internet was cool.
Back before the internet was regulated, and you could literally just type in what you wanted on like AskJeeves.com, and he found exactly what you wanted.
And now we got Starlink. Ruining men.
The young generation down in Amazon because they're addicted to porn now. It's crazy.
Like, we were jerking off to National Geographic. Fucking
now they're jerking off
National
to
Geographic people.
Are jerking off to freaking Remy LaCroix. And what's that big company? Oh my gosh, Evil Angel videos and stuff.
Well, it sounds like as of the latter part of May, Russia has taken Bakhmut, so that is significant.
There's going to be tug of wars going on, I think. Not in the Amazon, in Ukraine. Okay, Iraq. You sick bastard. We don't know. We don't. It's all we do know, though, and we've said it before, and we'll say it again, is that Ukraine cannot win this war.
No.
Period.
It looks on a map like Bakhmut, close to the. No, not the Dnieper, but
what state is that in? Or province or whatever?
That's still in the east, so it's one of those Dnieper, Zaporozhye.
Zaporozhye, that's where I think it is.
Luhansk, those. I can't remember the four. We've named them.
Look it up. But
it secures those eastern four regions. So it's
right on isn't it on a body of water?
Yeah,
a river?
It's on not the
or bay or
not
something?
the Dnieper. Oh, it's not on. No, Bakhmut is landlocked.
Okay.
But it looks there's a major route on way to it's like just north of Mariupol.
Oh.
So it is directly north of Mariupol.
Okay.
So
it's
that on the Black Sea
supply line.
Yeah, I would imagine. And they have it now. So
it's been devastated. I mean, it's crazy.
Once they get Odessa, done deal.
Anyways, we'll see how it goes. They might, maybe they'll nuke Russia. No more Polish sausage. We made Poland a Polish sausage itself.
That's right.
Actually, it's more like a vegetable. There's no life left.
Russia going to smash Ukraine like you should smash that like button.
That's
on
right.
YouTube.
Please. Actually, we haven't done that a lot, though. We should be encouraging our listeners. If you're listening on YouTube, please hit the notification. As soon as the next episode gets posted, you will get a notification to let you know.
Yeah, all it is like an hour to 2 hours a week.
And it really helps us. I mean,
it's huge for us. Yeah.
Honestly, it's stupid that we even have to ask this shit, but we really appreciate it. And sharing is, will be, has been, always will be forever the best way to promote anything for anybody else.
Yeah, word of mouth, off of social media, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Just spread it. Talk to your friends, grandpa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So follow us on Instagram at Iowa Talk Guys _podcast.
Follow us on X at Iowa Talk Guys.
On YouTube and Rumble at Iowa Talk Guys.
And smash that like button. And Rumble. YouTube. Does Rumble have a like button?
No, that's a like
YouTube
give
does?
It rumbles, I think, right?
Smash it.
Just hit it.
Yeah. Just like
Hulk smash.
Like Super Mario smashes the Koopa mushroom things, right?
That's right.
So also, always remember,
don't eat the yellow cake.
Don't eat the yellow snow.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
And don't let anybody take away your ideological bullshit.
That's right. Words of wisdom from Uncle E-Rock. Iowa Talk Guys. Out.
Hi. Good night, everybody.
if you and I were, and I'd rather be here. I'd rather be here. So thank you very much. Very nice. Appreciate it.